Hi, my name is Swaraa Joshi. I go to Carmont High School, and next year I'm going to be a junior. I use she, her pronouns.
Hi, I'm Urvi Kulkarni. I use she, her pronouns. I'm also going to be a junior at Carmel High School next year.
In my middle school, I went through a K through 8, so everything was a little bit different, but our science program was entirely structured around global warming, and it focused a lot on the causes and more of like what we are seeing and observing like right now. Um, so I didn't see a lot of the solutions as part of the curriculum. So I was a lot more interested in the solutions, obviously. So that's sort of how I got interested in climate change and then especially taking action for it.
I didn't go to the same school as Swara, and I don't think we learned that much about climate change in school at all until middle school. Like, I think eighth grade is when we first started talking about it in middle school. But Um, my dad just watches a lot of he's like always watching documentaries. That's like all he watches. So I he would make me watch them with him. And I that's we started watching climate change documentaries, and that's when I first learned about it. And there's that one documentary, I think Leonardo DiCaprio is that his documentary is like the one that actually stuck with me, and that's what introduced me to climate change in the first place. And I learned about YCA through that same English teacher as Swara, and so we both applied, and we've been doing it like climate work since. The first part of the program was more like research based. So we had to, before deciding what community impact project we wanted to do, we like did a bunch of research on one aspect of climate change. And Swara and I picked food systems. When we learned how everything was interconnected, it helped me think about solutions that wouldn't be like band-aid solutions where you only look at one thing and how to fix it, but then you don't think about the impacts of it.
A lot of the things that we did like were always like visual learning and like diagram based. So we did this diagram once that was like talking about each of the effects and like how they play into each other. With the diagram, we showed like how each effect of like waste on our planet like is connected, which I thought was really interesting, and then we were able to incorporate that into our community impact project. 2 years before we did our project, like our school's green team did pretty much the exact same thing as us, but with the 2020 lockdown, like for like 2 whole years, when they first shut the school down, they got rid of that tri-bin system, and it was never put back out when the school got back into hybrid mode, and then when like the school fully reopened this year, like nothing really happened. So I guess the biggest effect that I saw of our community impact project was pressuring the people who were once in charge of first putting tribans into our school and like making sure that they knew how important they were because one, it's California law, and two, they they put it out once, but they didn't really feel the need to like revamp like as they did in 2019. So I would say that putting pressure on the groups that are supposed to be in charge of something that important like really got work done.
After we like work with our green team, they're going to put in the try like full on try bins at the very beginning of the school year next year. So that's going to be good. And one of the main issues that Sora and I found in our waste audit was that there there were different colored bins, but the waste was not being sorted because I think main student population didn't know what the colors meant or they just didn't care. And I think one of the issues was that there weren't any signs on the bins. So the main change that we're going to have next year is one, they're going to be organized in tri bins instead of like because before they were in like random groupings of like a trash and a compost, or like a trash and a recycling, or a recycling and a compost. And when there wasn't trash next to the recycling or compost, people just put their trash in the recycling and compost, because obviously like people have places to be, or they're just lazy, they don't care. So like that's one thing, is we reorganized. So next year the tribans will be reorganized and placed into groups of three, and then there's going to be those signs that we got um from Camille, gave them to us. And so they're like the like basic ones where it just like shows you what goes in each bin, so that'll be good. Swara and I both got involved in YVA right after YCA. Um, because I think Camille sent out an email of like different like things to do to like keep doing climate work. And so I think that was one good thing about YCA, is that we got connected to other groups and other things, so that we could still keep on doing like keep being involved with the climate, which is important for both of us. So that was good. And yeah, I was in YVA, I'm part of the art team. So like we do murals and screen prints for protests, or like design posters for protests and things like that. And so my experience with planning it was that I learned what it is like to plan a mural, because I'd never done that before. I'd never painted a mural in the first place. And so it was interesting to see the different logistics behind it, like how you had to get permission first of all, and then how just like the process of making it, how you chalk it out beforehand and scale it and things like that. But then so that's like the planning that I was involved in. Um and also just like the design of the mural, and working with other people to plan it out was fun too.
For the People's Earth Day, I was mostly helping and in charge of reaching out to different schools in the Bay Area, and like high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools, and letting them know that there's going to be a People's Earth Day on April 22nd, and just like letting them know and then giving them all of the information about it. That was really like the highlight of my experience in YVA, because it was really fun to go there and see how many students I actually was able to reach, and like how many people care about the environment too. And yeah, it was really fun. Planning the People's Earth Day just like introduced us to another facet of environmental like advocacy and like action planning, because like seeing people plan these protests on the news and stuff, like it seems like it takes a lot of work, but like when you're actually planning it, you know that there's like 1,000 people who are helping out, and like a bunch of different people are not all doing every single part, but you each have your own like thing that you can do to contribute, which just shows that like anyone can really help with something like this, and it's not that hard to get your voice heard.
School is for the students, so if they're seeing something wrong, I think it's important to really take it to heart and consider how, like, consider their ideas, because that's what school is for. Um, and then for adults in general, I think that I just want to say to not like view youth as like below them, like that they're better than us, because I mean, yes, you're probably more educated, but um at the end of the day, we're going to be alive after them, and if the world is in a horrible state, we're going to have to deal with it. And you turning a blind, like, what's this phrase, like a blind eye, I don't know if that's the phrase, like towards us, is pretty selfish.
When youth voices their concerns, um don't take it like, don't try and ignore it, because usually their concerns are being observed like daily, like they're because they're actually attending the schools and they're actually living the same places that you are, and like if a concern is voiced, like don't devalue it because they're living the same experience. So yeah, I would say definitely listen to youth, and answer your emails because I don't know, like it if a student like that's one of the ways that we can interact with our like teachers and out like all of the people who are in like city council because we can't like walk up to them because we don't like work in that building. So um communication is like really important, and if youth is trying to communicate with you like through email, like respond. But yeah, and also like in schools especially, maybe it shouldn't have to take complaints from your student body to notice that there's an issue. Maybe try and get more involved at the ground level and like walk around the schools and say, hey, there's trash on the floor, like maybe there's a problem. So yeah, I would say like try and be involved in like the campus's issues and problems, not at the office level or at the district level, but at the student level as well, so it doesn't take many complaints for something to be done. Try first getting involved at the local level because first that's like the most effective way to see results quickly, because looking at like people like Greta Thunberg are absolutely phenomenal, but she really didn't start at the national level. She started with her local community and she started noticing problems first at the baseline. Like it's for us like it was really fun to do it with our school, like the school that we are going to attend for 2 more years so we can like keep it in touch and make sure like, oh, is this waste management program like still going on like for the entirety of our high school time. So starting at the local level can be really fulfilling, and you can still see results because everything that you do to help the environment, like no matter how big or how small, is still going to have an effect. Hold adults accountable, because if they if they're not seeing problems in their own community despite living there and like being the main, like adults are like the top of your community and they can actually get stuff done. So if you hold them accountable, then that's how you can see results too.
It's so helpful to find someone to do stuff with, like to do climate stuff with, because I was like enthusiastic about the climate, but I just like I was too scared, not really scared, but like I was just a little standoffish about getting into like climate work. And also I was a little nervous about YCA too because I didn't know who I'd be partnered up with. But I'm so glad I got partnered up with Swaraa because now we're friends and we literally do all our climate stuff together. Like we're in grassroots, like we volunteer together, and it's like makes it fun because now you have a friend and it's like you're hanging out with your friend, but you're also like helping the climate. So it's a win-win. I want to be more of like a leader, maybe do stuff like help out with the art still as being part of the YVA like organization. Cuz I really like that organization cuz it's all youth and they're all really cool people and they're all very driven, um and they get stuff done, which is so good to see. Right now we just started the grassroots ecology marsh restoration. We just had our first meeting, and so it's like a weekly thing, and I'm really excited for it. It's so fun to like be in the marsh and learn about like all the native plants, and I like weeding, I like planting, so I'm really excited for that too.
For me personally, I think that I definitely want to get more involved in like our local like laws that are related to climate change, because I know that Camille sent an email about a committee that like keeps that pretty much like keeps school districts and like um accountable and like abiding the local laws and stuff, like specifically relating to the environment. So yeah, I want to look more at California's like laws towards like schools and like any local like facilities, and like what rules and regulations there are relating to the environment, and like what other what other laws could be put in place to keep everyone, you know, law abiding and eco friendly.